Imagine a life where you wake up and no longer feel the weight of everyone's expectations on your shoulders. A life where you don't waste your energy trying to please people, explain yourself, or overthink every little thing. Imagine moving through your day without the constant noise of self-doubt or the need for approval, where your peace no longer depends on other people's moods, opinions, or behaviors. That kind of life is not a fantasy. It's what happens when you stop caring about what doesn't matter and start living with intention, clarity, and inner freedom. In this video, inspired by deep Buddhist wisdom, you'll discover 7 powerful lessons to help you let go, step back, and finally feel what it means to be truly happy every single day. 1. Let go of the rope that's burning your hand. Many of us are walking through life silently hurting, and not because of what's actually happening around us, but because of what we keep holding on to inside. It's like we're gripping a rope that's slowly burning our hand, but we refuse to let go. That rope could be the constant need to be accepted by others, the fear of letting someone down, the pressure to always get things right, or painful memories from the past that we haven't healed from. The longer we hold on, the more it hurts us, but we don't even realize that the pain is coming from our grip, not the rope itself. In Buddhism, this kind of suffering is called attachment. It means clinging to things, people, thoughts, emotions, situations, as if they are permanent and ours to control. But life doesn't work that way. Everything is always changing, and the more we try to hold on to what is meant to pass, the more we suffer. We trap ourselves in emotional cycles of stress, sadness, and confusion simply because we won't loosen our grip. Letting go doesn't mean giving up or running away. It means understanding that you cannot control everything and that peace comes when you stop trying to. You don't have to keep replaying that painful memory. You don't have to chase someone's approval to feel worthy. You don't have to worry so much about tomorrow. You can let go. Picture this. You're standing still with your hand clenched tightly around a rope, and it's cutting into your skin. All it takes to stop the pain is to release it. Just open your hand. Just breathe. Just allow the moment to be what it is, without needing it to be anything else. That is the beginning of real freedom. That's where happiness starts. Not in controlling life, but in learning how to stop being controlled by it. Second, stop seeking approval, and you'll discover who you are. From a young age, most of us are taught to look outside of ourselves for permission to feel good. We're praised when we do what others like. We're corrected when we don't fit their expectations. Over time, without realizing it, we begin to measure our worth by how others respond to us. We become so used to chasing approval from parents, teachers, friends, society, that we forget to ask ourselves the most important question: do I approve of who I am? When you live your life constantly trying to please others, you start shaping yourself like clay, changing your form depending on who's watching. You hide parts of yourself that feel too different. You stay quiet when you want to speak. You say yes when your soul screams no. And slowly, day by day, you lose the connection to your true self. But Buddhism teaches that true happiness comes from within, not from applause, not from compliments, and not from outside validation. The more you depend on others to make you feel seen, the more fragile your happiness becomes. Because what happens when they stop clapping? What happens when they don't understand you, or when they reject you? If your peace depends on being liked, it will vanish the moment someone doesn't. Let this be your gentle reminder. You do not need to be understood by everyone to live a meaningful life. Not everyone will get you. Not everyone will agree with your choices. And that's okay. The tree doesn't bend just to please the wind. The moon doesn't glow only when someone's watching. They exist fully, simply, and beautifully, just as they are. And so can you. When you stop chasing validation, something powerful happens. You begin to hear your own voice again. You start to ask yourself, what do I want? What do I believe? Who do I want to be? You begin to live from the inside out, not the outside in. And that shift is where your real strength and joy begin. The moment you stop caring about impressing others is the moment you finally impress your own soul. 3. Embrace impermanence. Everything is meant to change. One of the biggest reasons people suffer is because they expect things to stay the same. We want the good moments to last forever. We want people to always treat us the way they once did. We want routines, relationships, feelings, and even our sense of self to remain constant. But life doesn't work like that. Everything you can see, touch, and feel is in a constant state of movement. The seasons shift. The weather changes. Our bodies grow older. Friendships evolve. Emotions rise and fall like waves. This is what Buddhism calls anicca, the truth of impermanence. When you fight against change, you create your own suffering. It's like trying to hold on to a river with your bare hands. The more tightly you try to grip it, the more it slips through your fingers and the more frustrated you become. But the river was never meant to stay still. It was meant to flow. Often the pain we feel isn't because something ended. It's because we believed it should have lasted forever. We get attached to how things were. We cling to a version of life, of a person, or even of ourselves that no longer exists. And that attachment makes us feel stuck, lost, or broken when change arrives. But Buddhism invites us to see impermanence not as a threat, but as a gift. Because if nothing ever changed, there would be no growth, no healing, no second chances, no new beginnings. Imagine being stuck in a bad moment forever. Change is what saves us. It's what allows wounds to close, hearts to open, and wisdom to blossom. When you embrace impermanence, you begin to live differently. You appreciate people more deeply because you know they won't be around forever. You value the present moment because you understand it won't come again. You learn to let go gracefully when something ends, knowing it made space for something else to begin. You stop needing everything to be perfect because you know perfection was never the goal. Presence was. So if something in your life is changing right now, try not to resist it. Try not to cling to what was. Instead, gently remind yourself that nothing is meant to stay the same. Not joy, not sorrow, not even you. Breathe through it. Flow with it. Trust that just as the sun sets, it always rises again. And in that acceptance, you'll discover a kind of happiness that isn't shaken by the changing winds of life. From the moment we open our eyes each morning, the world begins to speak, sometimes softly, sometimes with overwhelming volume. The moment you pick up your phone, scroll through social media, check messages or glance at headlines, you are flooded with noise. Opinions telling you how to live, ads convincing you what you lack, comparisons quietly whispering that who you are is not enough. And without even realizing it, your sense of peace becomes tangled in a web of expectations, distractions, and emotional overstimulation. This external noise, when absorbed daily, doesn't just cloud your mind. It begins to blur your identity, drown your intuition, and pull you away from the calm center within you. Buddhism teaches us the value of mindful detachment, a spiritual discipline that doesn't mean running away from life, but rather learning how to not get pulled under by it. It's about recognizing when the noise around you is becoming the noise inside you. It's about understanding that your mind, like a lake, becomes muddy when constantly disturbed, and only in stillness can it reflect clarity again. In ancient monasteries, monks would spend hours in silence, not because they had nothing to say, but because they wanted to hear something deeper. They knew that beyond the surface chatter of the mind, there is a deeper knowing, a still, clear awareness that lives within each of us. But you don't need to be in a monastery to find that silence. You just need to pause, step away, breathe. In your daily life, this might look like taking a few quiet minutes before checking your phone, sitting under a tree and simply listening to the wind, going for a walk without headphones, allowing your thoughts to slow and your senses to awaken. It could mean choosing not to argue, not to scroll, not to react. It's in these simple moments of detachment that you begin to feel grounded again. You begin to remember who you are beneath the noise. Detachment also means not being overly reactive. Not every comment needs your response. Not every opinion deserves your energy. Not every notification is urgent. You can allow life to unfold around you without becoming emotionally entangled in every ripple. You become the still center in the middle of the storm, calm, aware, untouched. This is what Buddhism calls equanimity, a steady heart in a shaky world. And the more you cultivate it, the less power the outside world has over your inner world. You no longer feel the constant need to prove yourself, compete, or be everywhere at once. You stop measuring your value through likes, followers, or social approval. You begin to feel a quiet joy in being fully present, in doing less but feeling more, in saying less but meaning more, in simply being instead of always performing. So if you feel lost, overwhelmed, or disconnected from yourself, it may be because the world's noise has grown louder than your own voice. And that's okay. The beautiful thing is that your center is always there, patiently waiting. You don't need to create it. You only need to return to it. And each time you do, you step into a deeper kind of happiness, one that doesn't come from the outside world, but rises gently from within. 5. You are not your thoughts. Don't believe everything the mind says. One of the most liberating truths Buddhism teaches is this: your thoughts are not who you are. They are not permanent. They are not facts. And most importantly, they are not always telling the truth. Yet most of us live our lives believing every thought that passes through our minds, as if each one is a command, a reflection of reality, or a judgment worth holding on to. We forget that the mind is like a radio. It constantly plays, but we don't have to listen to every station. Imagine your thoughts as clouds drifting across the sky. Some are light and pleasant. Others are dark and heavy. Some make you feel inspired. Others drag you into fear, shame, or self-doubt. But no matter how intense they seem, clouds are not the sky, and thoughts are not your identity. They come and go, but the sky, the pure, quiet awareness beneath them, remains untouched. That sky is your true self. Buddhism encourages us to observe our thoughts, not become entangled in them. When you hear your mind say, "I'm not good enough," you don't have to argue or believe it. You can simply notice it. Ah, there is that thought again. Just like hearing a bird sing or a car pass by, you can observe the thought without needing to hold on to it. You begin to treat the mind like a visitor rather than a ruler. It speaks, but it no longer controls how you feel. The problem is, most of us are never taught how to relate to our thoughts in this way. We confuse thinking with truth. If your mind says you're a failure, you might believe it. If it says they don't like you, you might shrink or become anxious. But the mind is not always working in your best interest. Often it repeats fears from the past, echoes of others' criticism, or beliefs you adopted without questioning. That voice of judgment in your head. It was often planted there by someone else long ago. And just because it's loud doesn't mean it's right. Learning to observe your thoughts without attachment is one of the most powerful spiritual skills you can develop. It doesn't mean silencing your mind completely. That's impossible. It means creating space. It means realizing that you have thoughts, but you are not the thought. You are the awareness that sees the thought come and go. With time, this awareness becomes like a calm lake, reflecting whatever appears, but not clinging to any of it. Whether a stone of fear is thrown in or a leaf of joy lands on its surface, the lake remains itself. When you understand this, you begin to experience a profound shift in your emotional life. Anxiety no longer pulls you under because you see it as a wave, not the whole ocean. Self-doubt no longer freezes you because you recognize it as a mental habit, not a fact. Anger passes through you more quickly because you stop feeding it with your attention. And in that space between the thought and your reaction, you find your freedom. So the next time your mind tells you something painful, pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? And if it's hurting you, gently let it pass. Don't argue with it, don't fight it, just don't follow it. Return instead to the stillness beneath the noise. The more you do this, the more you'll realize that happiness doesn't come from controlling your thoughts. It comes from understanding that you are not their prisoner, you are their witness. And that is your power. 6. Stop chasing happiness. Just be fully here. So many people spend their entire lives running after happiness, like it's some faraway treasure buried at the end of a perfect moment. They believe that happiness will arrive once they finally fix everything, once they have more money, once their body changes, once someone loves them the right way, or once all their problems disappear. But this mindset traps you in an endless cycle of waiting for someday, waiting for permission, waiting for peace to finally arrive. But Buddhism gently reminds us, happiness isn't something you chase. It's something you return to. It's already here. But the reason you can't feel it is because your mind is always somewhere else, caught in regrets from yesterday or fears about tomorrow, lost in thoughts of what you lack instead of what you have. The truth is, you're not unhappy because your life is missing something. You're unhappy because you've forgotten how to be with the life you already have. This is the great secret of mindful living. The present moment is never the enemy. It is not broken. It is not incomplete. It's not in your way. The present moment is where your true life is unfolding, and everything you're searching for is hidden within it. But when your mind is always rushing to the next thing, you miss the beauty that's right in front of you. You miss the sunlight coming through your window, the sound of the breeze moving through the trees, the simple joy of a warm meal, a deep breath, or a quiet smile. Happiness isn't some big event. It's not something you unlock by achieving more. It's not waiting for you in a future where everything turns out perfect. In fact, running after happiness only brings more restlessness, because the moment you get what you thought would bring you joy, your mind shifts the goalpost. You begin to want something else, something more, something better, and the chase goes on. But in stillness, presence, and acceptance, that's where happiness quietly waits. Buddhism teaches us to slow down, to breathe, and just to be. Not to fix, control, or perfect, but to notice, appreciate, and fully experience whatever is happening now. Even in hard times, even in pain, there's a sacred quality to the present moment, if we're willing to face it without resistance. This doesn't mean pretending everything is okay. It means understanding that peace doesn't come from changing the moment, but from changing how you respond to it. Try this. Wherever you are, take a deep breath. Feel your body where it is resting. Notice the space around you. Feel the air, the temperature, and the quiet between sounds. Allow yourself to settle into this moment just as it is, without needing anything to change. This is your life. This is where happiness exists. Not in what you wish it was, but in what it already is, if you're open to seeing it. And the more you practice being present, the more you begin to see that peace isn't rare. It's not something you get only after years of effort. It's right there in every moment you choose to slow down and truly live instead of rushing through. So stop waiting for the next big thing to rescue you. Stop believing that joy is just around the corner. Let go of the chase. Sit down, take a breath, and return to this very moment. It's enough. You are enough. And in that gentle awareness, happiness quietly blooms, not as a reward, but as your natural state, finally remembered. 7. Compassion over control. Free yourself by letting others be free. There's a quiet, draining struggle that many people deal with every day, the urge to control. The urge to control what others think, how they treat us, how life moves, how things end, how emotions stay hidden, how everything always sticks to the plan. But under that need to control is usually fear. A fear of being hurt again, a fear of being misunderstood, a fear that if we don't hold on tightly, everything will fall apart. So we cling to people, to outcomes, to timelines, and without knowing it, we tie ourselves to suffering. Buddhism shows us a different path, a gentler, wiser, and more compassionate one. It teaches that we don't find peace by forcing the world to follow our will, but by easing our need for it to do so. When you trade control for compassion, you free yourself. Because control comes from tension, while compassion comes from love. Control tries to push against reality. Compassion learns to accept it as it is. Control needs certainty. Compassion finds peace through understanding, even when nothing is certain. Think about how much energy we waste trying to fix what can't be fixed, trying to change people who aren't ready to grow, trying to create closure where there's only silence, trying to rewrite the past through regret. And yet, the more we push, the more frustrated we become. Why? Because we're pushing against life itself. But what if you stopped? What if instead of holding on tighter, you loosened your grip? What if you allowed people to be who they are, even if it hurts sometimes? What if you forgave someone, not because they said sorry, but because you didn't want to carry that pain anymore? What if you let go of the belief that everyone needs to understand you, agree with you, or follow the same path as you? You would feel lighter, more peaceful, not because the world changed, but because you did. Compassion isn't weakness. It's not being passive. It's the deep inner strength to love and let go at the same time. To say, I see you for who you are, and I no longer need to control your journey. It's showing kindness to someone who didn't meet your hopes. It's releasing resentment, because your heart is too valuable to hold bitterness. It's choosing to wish someone well, even if they hurt you, because you care more about your inner peace than revenge or approval. And this compassion must also be directed inward. Stop trying to control your healing. Stop pushing yourself to be over it when you're still hurting. Stop blaming yourself for not being where you thought you'd be by now. You are growing, little by little, moment by moment.